We're going to take a few minutes to go over our meta tag for media and the media as used in CSS. One of the things we use media for is for fluid web design, responsive web design. Notice the Krispy Kreme. Now I have this not maximized because I want to show you what happens when we resize the screen. As we resize, at some point, the whole screen changes. It's redesigned. Notice that we no longer have our navigation because it's become a submenu. This is because we're using something on the meta tag called Viewport, plus we're using the media command. So let's take a look at the file that you have access to. Now, on this one, it is under the Advanced CSS, and I'm opening the Treebook account, HTML, Mobile CSS, Print CSS, and Base CSS. Now, looking at when we open the Treebook HTML at the website. Now, again, as I resize this, at a point in time when the resolution gets small, it will redesign. That's because the media command I'm using works upon the viewport plus a screen resolution. So let's look at the code. Now, as we go down, we're going to find that we're now using a meta tag called viewport. Viewport is a user's visible area of a web page, and it varies with whatever device you're wanting it to work with. When we look at the viewport, the content is a width. It's a device width. Now, what this means is that whenever I'm working with the width equals device width, it sets the width of the page to follow the screen width of the device, and it can vary with any device. Now, this initial scale, you can set it to 0.5, or if you want it to be a zoom level when the page is first loaded to be the initial, it would be 1.0. 0.5 would be half the resolution. Now, that's what we're working with the viewport when it is first opened. Now, to work with some of the others, bringing in a CSS that is specific to the device that you want to display on. Now is where we're working with a media option. Now notice that we have a print CSS that is only used when the media we're working with is print. We have a mobile CSS that is only working when the media is only a screen and has a max width of 500 pixels. Now we are applying this media option within our link, but we could also use the media inside the CSS. Now these are only whenever we are working with specific media. You want to make sure that you do have a base CSS that is applied no matter what media you're using. Then any of the other media works whenever it is taken over and matches the criteria in the media. That's how we're working with it, the media command and the viewport within the heading area and not within the CSS area. Now let's look at it within the CSS area. We're not going to really apply any new CSS commands or styles. It's only when they're applied. So let's look at the print CSS. Now the print CSS, we're also working with the at page, kind of like the at media if I wanted to apply only print to this blocked area. So within our print, we set that we have a size 8.5, 11 inches, and we want it portrait, not landscape. And we set the margins. Now that's just for the page. The rest of the print, the CSS is applied specifically for printing and for any of the other areas that we want to affect. So notice we have not done anything except for apply styles within the area. Now when I look at how this affects my CSS and my page, a lot of times our page that we want to work with or our print may be applied to a display of none. For instance, if I wanted anything in the article to not print, instead of a display of block, I would put a display of none, and then it would not print that part. But let's look at what it looks like right now. So I go to the tree. I'm going to maximize this now, and I can print, and my print preview will come up eventually. Notice how at this point I have formatted this area. Now if I did not want to print any of this navigation, then I would simply have to go back to anything in the navigation. So let's go find a nav tag. There's no nav, so I'm going to go in and tell it that my nav has a display of none. Now, let's see how this affects our print. We'll cancel this, refresh, and then go back in and look at the print again. Notice that my nav is no longer printing only my images. This is one way we use this. Now, we'll look at some of the other resolution for the screen next.